Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to I Command. We've got another skirmish game log review for you, and it's going to be on the new map once again. Probably the last one we'll do on the new map for now. For the next couple, I'll try to get some ones on the other maps, but I have heard from some of you that this has been very helpful, seeing games being played on the new map, so that's good. And we've got it on the other mission. Up till now, I've only been able to get gameplay on mission B. We're finally going to get to see mission A and play Counter Slice. So this is the mission where you've got the 4 objectives, the databanks, spread across the 2 sides of the map. They are worth 2 VPs each for each one you control at the end of each round. But a figure that is carrying a tap, which are these objectives here at the back of the deployment zones, a figure that is carrying one of these, so spend an action to retrieve it, can interact with a databank to flip it to its colored side up. And once you do that, they are worth 5 VPs each for whatever player controls them at the end of each round. So that's how this map works, and I am playing a league game against Collin, aka Godhound, and Collin just won his league game right before we played this with this Rogue One list he's playing. It's got Cassian, Baze Malbus, K2 Elso, the Jin Urso, who now has 13 health for Season 9, and then the brand new card, which is Bodhi Rook, which plays very well with the power token synergies that all the Rogue One figures have baked into them as kind of their sub-theme. And he's also been able to fit... Oh, and Chirrut as well, almost forgot Chirrut. He doesn't have Saw, which some people consider to be an honorary member of the Rogue One team. But he does have Rebel Care Package, so we've got R2-D2, C-3PO, and Gideon. And Collin had initiative, so he decided to take the red deployment zone, which seems there is starting to be a bit of a consensus being built that the red deployment zone might be the better one. But we're still figuring that out. We're not quite sure. Blue has some advantages, and we're going to talk about them in just a minute. But I'm also very excited to show you guys this list that I have been cooking up, which I think is going to do very well as a Rebel Force users list on this map, which might surprise some folks who are thinking things are looking pretty bad for melee-focused lists. But I've got some strategies I've been cooking up. It's been working so far, and I'm excited to share them with you all. But I am running, as I said, a Jedi Force user list. I have Mara Jade with Ahsoka and Davith, who, in my opinion, I feel like is one of the most underrated figures in IACP right now and forever. We've also got Yoda, and then we've got Saska Teft, who can bring in a Scum figure, which I'm using to bring Dr. Aphra into the list. And then I have R2-D2 and Gideon for a total of 8 activations. And then I also have brought Channel the Force, which can let me search for a Force user card instead of drawing. Importantly, with Yoda, it lets you skip the clause in Yoda's Wisdom draw ability that says if you draw a card with the ability, you have to put a card from your hand back. Well, if you search your deck instead of drawing, you don't have to do that, because it says if you do, and you didn't. I've also got Smuggling Compartment because I need to protect my hand from spy cards. My command cards are critical to my strategy, and if I get disrupted by something like Strategic Shift, it can throw a huge wrench into my entire strategy. And in addition to all that, I'm also playing Doubt, because with this strategy, what I'm trying to do is I'm actually trying to wait out the turns until I can get a really decisive last activation and then first activation going into the next round with some key command card plays. And so Doubt is going to be very helpful with doing that. It's going to slow down my opponent's focus buildup across the turns, right? Because that's the problem with waiting for a couple turns to do something, is your opponent, especially if they're playing Scum or Rebels, but also now even Empire, some Empire lists can do this too with Vader's Finest. They just start building up focus tokens, and by the time you go in, all of their figures are focused, and you have to eat a bunch of focused attacks from whatever is left that you don't kill. So that's why I'm running Doubt. Also, Doubt has a very nice combo with the Force reroll with the command card Tough Luck. For one point, if you deplete doubt and use tough luck, you can basically remove a dice result from their attack. And against ranged attacks, that can be super critical if you remove something like a blue die that has a big accuracy roll and reduce their accuracy by 3 or 4, you can make their entire attack miss that way. So tough luck plus doubt is a very strong combo that you should be aware of if your opponent has doubt in their list. You need to be very careful about your ranged attacks. So we're going to go into deployment here, and I'll be able to show you guys how the strategy is going to work very soon. But I wanted to show pause here before I deploy my figures to show you what's going on with Collin, because his figures all kind of spill out of the deployment zone before we even get to activate anything. Collin has 2 abilities that is letting him move right after he deploys. One of them is Smooth Landing on Bodhi Rook, and that is pretty much the same as Hera's Smooth Landing, exactly the same in fact. And it is allowing him to and excuse me, but why is this pulling up the wrong version? This is the old version of Bodhi. I'm pretty sure I'm on 9.2, so we're gonna have to double check on that. But let me pull up the... Did he not fix Bodhi? So this is the old version. I'm not sure why it's showing the old version of Bodhi Rook. Alright, well anyway, the newest version of Bodhi Rook should not have the Pierce 1 on top of the +1 damage, so I'll go ahead and flash the updated version in the edit. But yeah, Smooth Landing is going to allow Collin to move all of the adjacent figures to Bodhi here in the deployment zone 1 space. So he's going to move Baze. He's got Baze and R2 all the way forward. And then what we're going to see is Cassian's strike team is going to take place, which is in the same timing window, and he's going to be able to move 2 of his figures 2 spaces. So I'm going to move Cassian and Jin Erso out of the deployment zone, and going to allow him to then give up to 4 damage power tokens to figures that are starting outside deployment zone. So I'm going to give a damage power token to Jin Erso, Jin Erso, Cassian Andor, and Baze Malbus. Also one to R2-D2, but it's not very relevant on him. Also, I think you lose a little bit when you give one to Jin, because Jin can actually give herself power tokens with her Trust Goes Both Ways ability. Alright, and now I get to deploy my figures. I'll scroll down a little bit so you can see. And I actually did practice this deployment a little bit after I made this list, and I came up with what I thought was a fairly good opening on this deployment zone, the blue deployment zone. And now we're going to start. We're going to draw our 3 starting cards. My opening hand was... Let's see if I can see it. Oh, I didn't draw it. So I drew Planning, Negation, and Meditation. And I was feeling a little weird showing this list because I'm actually using the old Meditation. So the 2-point version. Let's see. Boop. Tire. So the original Meditation, which I actually believe came out in the core set, often seen as not a very strong card because it doesn't let you get an extra attack for your 3rd action, which is what the new version was supposed to fix, right? So the new version lets you perform a free attack on your next activation. We made it so you had to target an adjacent figure so that stuff like Force users like Luke Skywalker, who has a ranged attack, can't abuse this. But the way that you can actually make so what we had to do though was it was too powerful when you could use Channel of Force to just tutor it up on the first turn of the game. If you could use Channel the Force here to have it on the first turn every time, it was too powerful with the upgrades we made to it. So we changed it to say it's any rebel figure, but if you're a Force user, then you get the extra attack on your next activation. This list though, I was playing it, I realized I get a huge boost out of the old Meditation because I really just need the movement to get across this gap. But I can also emulate what the new Meditation is doing with the command card Pummel, which is a 1-point card that says for 2 actions, it's a special action that lets you perform 2 attacks. So it's kind of like you get assault on your force user, sort of. And then in that way, you can use that extra action from the old meditation to basically go move, attack, attack. And that's what I can also do with this list with Ahsoka, because Ahsoka has 2 free movement points, plus she can move 6, which crosses over impassable terrain. So Ahsoka can move 8 spaces in one action, which is what makes her so good. Drawback is her attack is very weak. Ahsoka has a very bad attack, both in the original game, she's recosted in ICP, but we didn't change any of her stats. But if you can attack twice with Pummel, her attack gets twice as good, basically. I mean, she pierces through whatever defenses they have most of the time. So yeah, so I needed to have meditation though, because I needed to be able to do that on round 2. I could not wait for it to draw it in round 2 and then be using it in round 3. So what I've done here is I'm actually using the old meditation. That's part of IACP's rule set, is you don't have to use the new versions of cards. If you prefer the old version for whatever reason, maybe it's less efficient, but it's got some special property that you just gotta have, well, that's allowed. And that's what I've ended up doing here. And I know meditation, the new meditation, is a bit controversial in the community. It's a bit of a mixed, there's been some mixed responses to it. So take this as you will, seeing a committee member using the old version in a list. I used to think it was terrible, and now I'm seeing that with Channel the Force and Pummel, you know, and I didn't realize that until I started playing the updated version of meditation in my list. And if we hadn't touched it, honestly, I don't think I'd ever have thought of using meditation in a competitive list like this. But so that's one of the nice things about playtesting changes to cards is, yeah, sometimes you find out that the old cards that everybody thought were terrible have niche uses, that they can actually be used for something pretty cool. So anyway, we're going to throw this back to past me's hand so he can play with it. Uh-oh. Well, we'll find out what happens there. Oh, I think I can't flip it because here we go. So I have to flip it, and then I have to go back to being player 1, and then I flip it as player 1 and put it back in player 1's hand. There we go. Okay. Alright, so let's get back to the game now that we've talked about, spilled my guts about my thoughts on meditation. So, I'm going to start off with... we're going to start off with R2, and I need to flip the player's hands so that it's not confusing me. There we go. So Collin is going to start off. He has initiative, and Collin has 9 activations, so that's tricky for me because it means I can't get last activation even when he has initiative. So here's my way I'm playing this mission currently with this list. Start off with Saska to open the door, and then move back to give a device token to Ahsoka, and that's very important to help increase her damage output, because like I said, Ahsoka's attack, very, very bad attack. So giving her a device token will help with that. And then she's going to go stand next to the tap down here, so she's ready to pick it up next turn. And you'll see why I'm opening my door here in just a minute. Okay, Collin's going to activate 3PO, going to focus up Jin Erso. And now I activate Yoda. And so here's what I usually would do, is I would use Yoda's Wisdom ability plus Channel the Force to pull Meditation out of my deck and put it in my hand so I can play it round 1. Because I have it started in my hand, I don't need to do that, and I don't need to take the 2 damage that I normally would have to take on Yoda. So I go ahead and just grab Force Rush here since it costs 0, so I don't have to take any strain, and I get to add it to my hand for free. And I'm going to focus up Davith, and then move 3 spaces. So now you can see why I had to do that, and why I had to put Yoda there, and why I have to do this so early. If I do this late in the turn, after he's like focused and tokened up Cassian, or whoever his sniper is, his sniper will just come down to here and take a shot and probably kill Yoda, or severely cripple him that I can't take the 2 damage as 2 strain. So that's why I do it early while my opponent is still doing their support activations, so that I can, with my second action of the round, I can get Yoda out of the way and out of danger. And right here in this space, it is very hard to draw line of sight to him for the opponent. And importantly, he is also going to be standing next to the figure that I have standing next to my databank, which is going to be right here. And I want Yoda to be standing next to somebody that I think is going to possibly get shot because of Yoda's force deflection. Now I've got Gideon activating for Collin. Going to focus up Baze Malbus. Baze quite a threat for 6 points. Now I can finally activate my R2. And I have a ton of card draw in this list, so I want to be drawing as many cards as I can by the end of 2, so that I have all the pummels and everything else. And you're going to see another cool combo I run in this list that I want to be able to draw by round 2. The reason I delayed there a little bit too was also that Collin does have a spy in his list, which is Cassian. K2SO also a spy, so I need to be very wary of getting strat shifted or intel leaked here. Or I would, except that I forgot I have Smuggling Compartment for that. So maybe I was a little too cautious actually, again, playing around the spy cards. But I do activate Ahsoka. Ahsoka is going to get a block token. So interestingly, he moved Chirrut over to his left side databank to control it. So there is Ahsoka, got a block token with Vigor. And K2 going to move over, stand next to 3PO. And now I'm going to make my move with Davith. So Davith is going to be controlling my databank for me. And now you can see that this move is great. It blocks line of sight to Yoda, so he will have to attack Davith and take damage from Yoda's deflection if he tries to move a ranged attacker over here. And it's also blocking line of sight to Ahsoka, and Ahsoka now has this great little spot where she can go either this way to attack with her extra action next turn, or she can actually come out this way, and it's faster than if she was standing here. She can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and get to here without any extra movement, just with the meditation action. And the other thing you can see here is this is a great spot where Davith is standing to control this databank. If you're a speed 5 melee, or if you're a speed 4 melee with reach, you can threaten your opponent's databank figure by standing on your databank, which is really great. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll be able to attack Chirrut. I think Chirrut actually moved too close. I think Chirrut should have stood 1 back here. But it doesn't matter because of what's going to happen in round 2. Okay, Bodhi is going to activate, going to pick up the tap for Collin. Gideon also picked up his tap, I should mention, by the way. So Collin's tap carriers are now Gideon and Bodhi. And now I'm going to activate Aphra and pick up the tap and then move up to that space behind the blocking terrain, which is very safe to stand in. All of these spaces too are quite safe from this area. The opponent has to come all the way over here to attack you, and they have to attack you from right here actually. If for these spaces here that I'm clicking Yoda and Ahsoka, the opponent has to stand here to attack those spaces. So they're actually pretty safe to stand here. They're not completely safe, like your opponent can extend a little bit and get an attack on you, so you have to be careful. But that's why I put Davith and Yoda here, because Davith also starts the game hidden, so he's got a nice accuracy defense. And then if they attack him, I get to hit them back with Yoda for however many attack dice they threw at me. Alright, and then it looks like Jin, Urso going to activate, going to use the ability Cassian said I had to. By the way, I have noticed some people are triggering this ability Cassian said I had to once per round. When a friendly leader enters an adjacent space, you may gain 1 damage power token. I've noticed people are triggering this off of Bodhi's smooth landing. You cannot do that because smooth landing triggers during the oh no, wait, never mind. You can do that, but you can't do it twice. You can't smooth landing to trigger it and then activate a figure and move it onto the thing. Actually, wait, scratch all that. Okay, yeah, so you can't do that during deployment because the round doesn't start until after the deployment. Deployment is part of setup. So you're doing setup, you do your deployment stuff, your opponent does their deployment stuff, you draw your command cards, and then you start the round, and that's when you can use once per round abilities. So you can't use Cassian's that I had to off of Smooth Landing. Just FYI for everybody. Alright, so Jin's going to open the door. Also used Trust Goes Both Ways to give a surge power token to K2SO. So that's how you really should do it, is you use Cassian's that I had to, and then you either use Cassian's ability to give him a damage power token during deployment, or you use Jin's Trust Goes Both Ways to give him a power token at the start or end of her activation. And by the way, that is totally lore accurate. That was why they were designed that way, is because Trust Goes Both Ways is what Jin says about giving K2SO a blaster pistol. And so that's the whole lore of Continually Unexpected is what K2SO says to Jin when she gives him that blaster pistol, and that's the ability that lets him perform ranged attacks. So I hope you guys are starting to see it all, how all the pieces fall together. You know, we make cool stuff. Anyway, Season 4 to Season 5 stuff. Alright, so now I'm going to play planning here with my Gideon. And this is where Aphra is going to come in as well. Aphra becomes part of my draw engine in round 2, because I run planning, but I also run black market prices. So if I get either of those in round 1, I'll be able to excavate them round 2 and draw even more cards in round 2. And the idea is to draw most of my deck by the end of round 2. Gideon focused up Mara Jade. There's an important reason why I focus up Mara Jade first. Before I focus up Ahsoka, and we'll find that out in a minute. And then Cassian moves to join the cluster over by 3PO and R2-D2. And Baze Malbus has moved to both databanks, as I have shown no interest or pressuring that area, that penthouse room. That's what actually, I believe that's actually what it's called. It's called the Bespin, the Cloud City Penthouse, when I looked up what that room actually is. It's from Empire Strikes Back. And so he's going to be getting the lion's share of the points here, and that's just kind of part of waiting out your perfect turn. And I know that makes a lot of people uncomfortable sometimes when you're trying to play and you're trying to wait. You feel like you have to do something because your opponent's pulling ahead on points. But if you have a game plan going in, you can wait it out and make it up in the combat portion of the game. So both players are going to draw 2 cards here off of their terminals. I have kept my door closed, and I have kept all of my figures behind line of sight blocking terrain, and no free attacks for Collin here, and that is my goal when I play on these maps. You might think, well, I can leave a figure out and maybe they'll miss or something, but ranged attackers don't miss anymore. If you're getting shot at range 8, you're probably going to get hit. And so my philosophy now, my mantra is, I don't give away free attacks until I have attacked first, or if the opponent wants to expose themselves to a huge counter attack from me, then they can attack me. But I don't give away free attacks. And if you've ever played against players like Daniel Taylor, Brett Kelly, all of those players from the past, the greats, that's how they played too. You never got free attacks off on their figures. Their figures were ironclad against your line of sight, unless you overextended into them, and then they just crushed you. And then anytime you left a figure out, they were taking free attacks on you, and that is how they won games, is because they always had the line of sight advantage, and so that's what I'm aiming to replicate in my play going forward, especially on a map like this now. So anyway, all that being said, we draw our cards. I absolutely forget to use Smuggling Compartment. I feel like I just completely forgot I had Smuggling Compartment in my list during this whole first and second round, and that was unfortunate. I could have played better. Because what I should have done is now I'm going to have initiative going into this round. And what I should have done is I should have gone and killed Turret. Because Turret, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could have just moved. I had a bunch of movement cards in my hand. Or I could have just controlled the data bank. But what I should have done is that, yeah, I should have moved back. So I could have gone, I could have played like Force Rush that I had gotten with Yoda earlier and gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Attack and kill Turret. Davith can easily one-shot Turret if Turret doesn't dodge him with Fell Swoop and a Focus. Easy 8 damage. I think the average is like 9 damage on that series of attacks if you add in Cut and Run. And then I could have moved back to here and been totally safe from Collin, who's all the way on this side of the map. And then that would have been something I wouldn't have to deal with later. But I didn't, because I was so afraid of getting strat shifted, even though I had the Smuggling Compartment. So anyway, we definitely didn't play this game perfect, but it still ended up being a very good game. So I activate R2. What I was doing here is I was actually digging for my Comm Disrupt to protect against strat shift, because I didn't want to get strat shifted. And so I did. I drew Comm Disrupt here, which is great, but Turret runs away and gets away from me. So I end up passing here, and this is round 2, by the way. 3PO is going to focus up. Oh, I did take away a focus from Baze Malbus with Doubt, so that forced 3PO to come out to focus him again. I activate Aphra. She's carrying the tap, so she's able to flip the databank here, which is now going to be worth 5 points to me. And I have effectively forced Collin to abandon his databank on this side of the map, so this is looking much better for me in terms of the objectives. But Bodhi comes down and flips the databank for Collin, so it's looking really bad for me, right? If I can't get into that middle area, because that's where all of his attackers are. So Collin's doing a really great job here. He's identified that these 2 databanks on the right are worth just as much points as the left side, but that on the right side over here he has way more control over me. He has way less there's way less places for me to advance on him without him being able to attack me. So I think he has correctly identified that this right side is where he wants to be putting his forces, and as you can see, he's got them all very united. You know, other than the fact that I could have killed Turret there if I wanted to, if I had been paying attention, he's not leaving any of his units isolated out, exposed, where the other units in his army can't support them by offering covering fire. Alright, so Gideon's going to come up for Collin and focus up Cassian. And I excavated Planning with Dr. Aphra's ability, so now I get to just draw 2 cards for free. Love excavating Planning. Makes me think that maybe Excavate could have just been on 1-cost cards, because excavating Planning feels, I mean, it feels amazing, but it also feels kind of gross. So that was Gideon. I don't have any good focus targets here. I screwed up. I should have put I should have swapped Mara and Aphra. So I had Mara here and I had Aphra here. Just swap them. Or excuse me, I have it the other way around. I should have swapped them so that Mara was here, Aphra was here. Then I would have Aphra move, and then I could have, with Gideon, focused some more people. Although I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter. But I end up moving Gideon since he doesn't have any good focus targets. R2-D2 is going to draw a card for Collin, and this is where I decide to pull a trigger on my strat shift. I go for because he's got 8 cards in hand, so that's now going to become 2 cards in hand. And that was Saska that did that. So Saska picks up the tap with 1 action, plays strat shift because she is a spy. She is a technician, smuggler, and spy. One of the best trait combinations you can have as a support figure, honestly. Although I hope we do make more strong technician support cards. I think that would make it a lot more interesting. But Collin is going to attempt to rebuild his hand here with Built on Hope. This is Jyn Erso's unique command card. Let's look at the top 3 cards. puts one of them into his hand and reorders the others in any way he likes on the top or the bottom of the deck. So that's a nice card to draw into. Not quite as good as drawing into planning, but still good. Lets you see the top 3. Get some card selection. And he's able to set up his draws for the next round as well. Okay. And now he's moving all of his figures into this middle room, probably getting ready to try and advance on me on my terminal. Alright, so now we get to see a part of the really cool combo here. So Jade activating. I've finally drawn into the combo after I've drawn now, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've drawn 10 cards at this point in the game, in round 2. And so now Jade is going to use adaptive skill, or no, fast learner to play Davith's command card, which is Vanish. Probably my favorite command card in the game, and honestly one of the most powerful command cards in the game. One of the reasons that I think Davith is horribly underrated by people. Basically what it says is it's a special action, and it says you cannot suffer damage or receive conditions, which is very important, until your next activation. Till your next activation, not till the end of the round, till the next time this figure activates. And in addition to that, at the start of your next activation, you get 4 movement points just for free because you are reappearing somewhere. Whoever designed the TIE Phantom in X-Wing clearly designed this card, and I appreciate it in this game much more than I did in X-Wing for sure. But anyway, the combo here though is this is a special action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play To the Limit, which for 0 points says after you resolve a special action, you can perform 1 additional action, but then you immediately become stunned. Normally this is problematic because it means that if you take a move action as your extra action from To the Limit, you gain the movement points, but you cannot spend them before you become stunned. So then you just can't even use those movement points. So To the Limit is very limited in what it can do. However, because I played Vanish, I cannot suffer any conditions, which includes stunned. So I am immune to the stun from To the Limit. So I go ahead and take a move action. So in this case, I've gone Vanish, To the Limit, move action, second move action for 3 actions total. And with Mara's 5 speed, this is going to allow me to move right on top of these databanks, these 2 databanks here. And Jade's going to be completely immune to all damage pretty much until the end of the next round, the end of round 3. And so that's going to stop Collin from being able to score points off these databanks. He would have gotten 7 points for controlling those. And so that's a fantastic combo that has been working out really well for me in practice. I did post this combo on the Discord. People kind of laughed at it a little bit, but it's been really strong. Especially with Mara Jade, but it's still good with Davith too. Honestly, Davith can hit almost as hard, if not harder, than Mara Jade. Actually, probably harder if she's not playing Pummel. K2SO is going to advance to my door. He's literally knocking on my terminal door. And so now I'm in a spot here, right? So we've got Cassian and Baze that have not activated. I have Davith and Ahsoka, who I have focused with Yoda. And there's no way for me to get last activation. I could go with Davith, but I would really like to be controlling that last databank. The problem is if I go with Davith right now, Cassian's going to take a focused shot with +2 accuracy because of Bodhi, because he's got that damage power token from earlier. So I would highly doubt that Davith would walk away from that attack. A focused Cassian attack would do probably like 6 to 8 damage, which is just more damage that I really want to give away on Davith. But I look at it here and I think I've actually got Pummel in my hand, and I'm counting the spaces from Ahsoka to Cassian. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I have Force Rush and Heart of Freedom in my hand. And I'm like, oh, I can actually get there with Ahsoka. If I use Vigor for 2 movement points, and then Force Leap with my free action from Meditation, and then I use 2 movement points from Force Rush, I can actually get here, and then I can pummel Cassian, and Cassian only has 10 health. and I should definitely be able to do about 10 damage with 2 Ahsoka attacks with a focus and a device token from Saska. So that's what I do. I go with Ahsoka, and if I can do that, I can remove an activation from Collin's list, and then I'll actually have the last activation of the round with Davith. So I go ahead and I do that. I was like, oops, I need to play Force Rush. But then what happens is I get a little greedy here. I was thinking I could, if I moved up here and then used Force Push to drag Cassian to me, I thought maybe if I was up here I could prevent Baze from getting line of sight to me. Like, I thought Baze could only go here, but I just miscounted. I forgot Baze gets a free movement point, so this is actually not necessary. I should have just moved right here and just let Baze come and attack me. But I did try to get cute, and I ended up wasting a card there. But here we go. Here comes the Pummel from Ahsoka into Cassian. And I just have that he doesn't dodge. He does not. I would have liked to have seen more surges there for sure. And then I make a mistake. I think I decided to re-roll the blue dice here, hoping that I would get another surge for to do the surge for +2. And I get a red. I re-roll it into a red. It was tough to use the device token here, but my thinking was, well, if he dodges the second attack, then I won't get to use my device token at all from Saska, which is limit once per round. So that's why I decided to use it here to just maximize how much damage I'm dealing. It was pointed to me later by a spectator that I should have just re-rolled the green die since it was doing literally 0 damage. So I would have actually done 6 damage here, but I end up doing 5 damage. So halfway there, which is not great considering that all of my extra bonuses were in that first attack. But this time I actually get the surge I need, which is huge, because now I'm doing 6 damage with the surge for +2 -1 block, so I actually get the damage I needed exactly. And I take out Cassian. So able to kill Cassian there, removes his action. And you can see just how much extra movement, how strong it is with Ahsoka to be able to get that free move action and then use your remaining 2 actions for Pummel. Now, of course, the new meditation, again, you don't need Pummel. It just does that by itself. But the problem is that I really want it on round 1. And so the only way to do that is to play the old meditation, which is for Force users. Alright, and now Baze is going to come up and take some revenge with that free movement point he gets. But only going to be able to attack me once. And I missed what he played. Oh, he plays Element of Surprise here. I do not have Negation in my hand, but because I want to be able to hold on to initiative when I need it, I don't want to play it on the Element of Surprise. Also, I just really hate playing Negation on Element of Surprise, because what always happens is you negate the element and then you roll a blank anyway, and you feel bad. So he spends the damage power token, just rolls Hot Fire as usual. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage to... No, 7 damage to Ahsoka because of the block power token. She's got 12 health. He actually got a token there because he had... Jade had line of sight to him. Or how does it work at the start of your activation for each house foe? With line of sight. So yeah, Jade had line of sight, so he got a token from Into the Fray. And now because Ahsoka has line of sight to him, he's going to get a token from Hold the Line. So that's how that's working. And then Davith's going to move up and control the databank. So now I am the one who controls 2 databanks, and Collin is controlling 0, because once again I have Mara standing right here on this databank. And you might think, well, wait a second, you don't have initiative next round. and he could negate you, right? You could negate you. I mean, what I did was, I don't have take initiative, but I actually know it's on the bottom of my deck. So this time I remember to use Smuggling Compartment. I pulled the take initiative out from the bottom of my deck, put it on top of my deck, and let's see if I can. So there's Smuggling Compartment. And yeah, he could negation me, but I have Comm Disruption, so I am able to force my take initiative through his. So Collin gets initiative, I play take initiative, Collin tries to stop it with his Comm Disruption, which is interesting because, so he does still have one spy on his list. That probably tells me he doesn't have negation either. But I have 3 spies on my list. I have Davith, Ahsoka, and Saska, so I'm able to use my Comm Disruption to stop his. Okay, and I exhaust R2-D2 for my take initiative, and now I can go with Ahsoka again. And by the way, I used Aphra to excavate Pummel, which is one of the great reasons. The other great reasons I bring Aphra in this list, not only does she give me a bunch of card draw in round 2 if I excavate black market prices or planning, she lets me get multiple uses out of my pummels each round, and then also she can excavate my negation if I really need it when I need to keep initiative. So Ahsoka gonna activate again and gonna go for turret here. Because unfocused, I can definitely, probably, most likely deal 8 damage to turret, again, as long as he does not dodge. Although the thing about dodging is that Ahsoka has twin sabers, so all I have to do is force him to reroll his white dice, and I do 3 damage here. But I still have the device token, so I decided to use it, and I actually re-rolled the blue die here to a green. My thought process was that green can only get better than the blue die because the green dice, the worst symbol is a single surge. A single surge here is worth 2 damage, so it's better than re-rolling into a red. A red I can get a single damage pip, aka the red butthole. But if I re-roll, the worst I can get on a green is to increase my damage by getting a +2, or I could even get 2 more damage, or increase my damage by +1 if I get a surge. Good. So again, I'm doing 4 damage here now, and then second attack he blanks out and not able to save turret, so I get another 4 points. Took out 2 figures, Cassian and turret, with Ahsoka there. And I feel fine letting her stay there to trade. I could have also retreated her. I could have attacked somebody and then gone like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I would have had to use... I had Heart of Freedom. I could have used Heart of Freedom there and retreated Ahsoka to here, which maybe would have been the better play and just let turret live. But against lists like this, Rogue One list, where he's got turret, Cassian, Baze, Jyn Erso, he's got 5 really beefy, good attackers. I want to kill as many of them as I can. So I actually am okay sacrificing figures to get kills if I can. So Baze activates... Oh no, that was actually Gideon. So Gideon focused Baze to prepare to execute Ahsoka with Assault, and took a shot at Ahsoka, did 2 damage, 2 damage there through the block token. And now I have Pummel in my hand because I excavated the first one, and I've got Mara Jade sitting here with a focus. And I look at Baze and I see 11 health on a black die. 2 attacks from Mara Jade. I'm like, that probably could do it. So if I can interrupt this attack that he spent an activation focusing up with Gideon, I can bring the tempo even more into my favor. And I think he just was expecting me to wait on Mara Jade because she's invincible for the entire round until I activate her. Probably was thinking I wasn't going to activate her this early, but I just see an opportunity here to interrupt Baze Malbus's attack if I can kill him with Pummel. So Mara Jade activates, plays Heart of Freedom, and then remember she's getting 4 more movement points here when she unvanishes. And now I play Pummel and attack Baze Malbus here with a focused attack. The red, red, blue, green. Does get the triple block, and he's got the block token, so I'm not going to be able to pierce all of his blocks. I do have a reroll with Professional, and unfortunately I reroll into less damage. I was hoping to get another. So the other prompt thing I needed was that might have looked foolish, rerolling that double blue, that double hit into a single hit. But I already know that he's playing parry in this list, and Baze is a Guardian. So if I only have 1 surge on the results here, and he has parry in his hand, which he has been very good at bluffing that he did have it because he keeps asking me if I'm done modifying my attacks, he'll stop 3 damage with the parry. So it seemed very important to me to try to get a second surge going, which is why I rerolled the blue. Turns out he did not have parry in his hand, so I am able to pierce 3 and deal 5 damage, which is a little concerning though, because that was my focused attack and I didn't even do 50% of his health with that attack, but we're hoping for this here with the second one. Looks awful. the two red eyes staring back at me on this roll. But we get lucky because he rolls an evade, and I have no surges. I'm all damaged right now, and I just need to do 6 damage, and I've got 4. So I said a little bit of a come, and we got it. We got the 2 extra damage we needed on that reroll, and Baze goes down before he activates. So I was able to remove not just 2 figures here. I was able to cancel 2 very important activations from Collin, which is a big tempo advantage for me. But now Mara Jade did come out of her invincibility a little early for that, and Collin still has Jyn Erso, who has not attacked yet, although I did remove her focus with Doubt last round at the end of the last turn that I didn't mention. But he's also got K2SO, who can make ranged attacks here. So certainly not immune to taking damage. Probably gonna take a lot of damage here, but being able to stop Baze Malbus from killing Ahsoka there was pretty big. Alright, so now we are activating Saska. I believe Collin went with 3PO to focus up Jyn Erso, and Saska just moves up to control the databank. She gives a device token to Dr. Aphra. Okay, and so now my play is I'm going to be pivoting Dr. Aphra over from the left side to the middle so I can start attacking with her. So I'm giving her device token, getting her ready for that. And then the reason I'm moving here is because I'm going to be attacking with Aphra from here. So I'm setting up to have Yoda provide support with his deflecting ability. K2SO going to come up and do his ranged attack on Mara Jade. Going to do 4 damage there. Okay, and then Gideon going to focus up Aphra. And then I decided to move Gideon here because my plan is when it's appropriate, I'm going to have R2 open this door so that Gideon can pop out some attacks to help to the damage. So eventually I'm going to be out of cards. In fact, I think I'm down to just 2 cards in my deck at this point. So there's no reason for me. And by the way, that's why I moved R2-D2 if you're wondering there. He had K2SO next to the door. So I thought, if he's gonna open my door, I don't want to just leave two sitting there to get killed, because that's free points, and I don't give away free points anymore, you guys. So Jin Urso activating for Collin, and gonna attack Jade. Gonna play the beatdown here. I did make a mistake in this round. I haven't played... Well, I did play Take Initiative. With Yoda, I put black market prices into my hand, and I put Negation on the bottom. I should not have done that. I should have held on to Negation, and I could have negated this beatdown, but I screwed up. So, and does the power token on the melee attack? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. Pierce 1. So that one-shots Jade. So focused. She one-shot it. She did 7 damage with just her Tonfa strike. She seems fine at 7. And the 13 health is actually going to matter in this game too. So Collin goes to 13. I'm at 25 currently, and now able to use the pistol attack to take out Ahsoka. Super efficient there, manages to take out 2 figures in 1 activation with Jin Urso. She never fails to impress me. She's very solid. Alright, so now I am down to Aphra and Davith, and I'm really regretting wasting that force push here, because I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. I could go 5 here and be able to grab Jin Urso or Gideon and pull them into my reach. But we didn't do that, so what I can do though is I can use Davith to prevent Collin from getting all of these points down here. But first thing, I'm going to go with Aphra. I actually have a tough choice here with Aphra, because we've got 2 targets here. We've got Bodhi as well, but I don't really care about Bodhi. I care about either 3PO or K2SO. And this is a range 6 shot, and if I attack K2SO, then I'm giving him the +1 evade from distracting, which is going to mess up my accuracy a little bit, because I'm relying on the surge for +2 accuracy. Even with the focus, I'm still not great on accuracy range here. Range 5 is really your sweet spot with Aphra with a focus token. Range 3 without. So range 6 is going to be iffy, and I really don't want to miss. So the problem though is if I shoot at 3PO, he's rolling a white dice with a reroll. Also, he's 3PO. Like, at this point in the game, it's way more important for me to keep whittling down Collin's attackers and win the attrition war, where I'm the last one with meaningful attackers left standing. If we end this, if the battle gets to the point where I've lost Davith and Aphra and all I have is Saska, Yoda, Gideon, and R2, and Collin has like Jin Urso or K2SO still standing, then I'm in huge trouble. I don't want it to get to that. So I need to make sure I am winning the damage race against his other attackers. So that's my rationale here when I go for the attack on K2SO. Curious to hear what you guys would have done here with this attack with Aphra, or would you have stepped 1 more space forward, because she still has 1 movement point left. But if I do that, then I won't be able to sit her back next to Yoda to benefit from extra damage from deflect. So anyway, I do go for the attack on K2SO here. And first I was like, oh no, I don't get enough, because I thought I was, for some reason I was thinking I only searched for +1 accuracy. But it is +2 accuracy, and I did get a surge past 3PO. Can you imagine if he had rolled just an evade here on the black dice? Like, oh, would have been like a dodge. But I roll super good on my red and green dice, and I get enough surges to push accuracy through to get range 6. So I did actually deal 4 damage to K2SO here. Collin's R2 activates and draws a command card. And now I have to go with Davith. I have to prevent these databanks from being scored, which also means I get to score my flipped databank with Saska for 5 points, bringing me to 30 points against Collin's 20. Collin draws back up. He's now got 5 cards in hand after he got strat shifted. I am down to just my last 3 cards in my deck. And I have a tough choice here to make with my strat shift. So my options are Pummel, Force Push, Force Rush, To the Limit, Element of Surprise, or Strat Shift. And here's the problem. I'm not having initiative here. I used Take Initiative last round. I'm not going to have initiative. So if I take Pummel, then he's just going to activate K2SO, hit me, and move away. And then my only Pummel targets, and I don't have any more movement cards in my hand. All I have in my hand is Negation and Black Market Prices. So if he moves away after he attacks me, my only Pummel targets will be 3PO and Bodhi. And we've already talked about I don't want to be killing his supports anymore. I need to be killing his attacking figures. Okay, so then what about Force Rush or Force Push? Right? Force Rush is actually kind of out. I don't want to take any 0-point cards here because Collin has not played his Negation yet. I keep shuffling it back in with Strat Shift, and so he could have drawn it here off the top of his deck. So I don't really want to take Force Rush because if he negates it and it ends up being super critical to my winning, then that's gonna suck, right? I just played right into that. So I'm aware that he has Negation still in his deck or hand. So what about Force Push? Right, that might help me get to something, get an attack off that I wouldn't otherwise be able to. But now I'm looking at it, it's like he only gets to activate 1 figure here before I activate Davith. And they're gonna stay within range because even if Jin Urso comes up and Tonfa strikes, she's gonna have enough movement points to move back away from me. Same thing with K2. I'm still going to have Jin Urso in range. So I don't need something to close range. I need something to do damage or change the damage race. So that actually leaves me with Strat Shift. And the funny thing is Strat Shift is going to force him to actually have to activate K2 first, which leaves me an opportunity, because I am focused with Davith right now, an opportunity to one-shot kill Jin Urso. It's low, but it's possible with Davith because he does 2 attacks, and she's rolling a white die, so if she rolls poorly, I could definitely kill her in 1 round. 13 health is too high though. But anyway, like I was saying, it forces him to activate K2SO. Because if he doesn't activate K2SO, then I will Strat Shift him and attack him. He probably doesn't want that to happen. So that was my thinking. It doesn't really force him though. He could still go with Jin. Also, kind of wants to activate K2SO no matter what, because K2SO only has the lowest health. He's only got 5 health left. Jin Urso's a lot safer with 13 health left. So anyway, that's the long... Sorry, but I sometimes go too deep into my thought processes there. So but I also think it's funny to excavate Strat Shift too. It's just the funnier play, It's funny. So I go ahead and excavate the Strat Shift. We both laugh about it, and then he activates K2SO. He's got a Surge token, so he can just do the melee attack on Davith. Oh, that's not the only card in my hand. Sorry. I have Negation and Tough Luck, and I have not depleted Doubt yet. So I still have that big play under my sleeve. And as luck turns out, he rolls pretty high. He surged for +2, so this is going to be doing 7 damage to me. Unfocused, but he does have a surge token. And so now I've got a tough choice to make, right? Do I save my tough luck and and doubt here, or do I save it, or do I use it now, or do I save it for Jin Urso? The thing is, no matter who I use it on, I can only stop 1 dice worth of damage, and right now I'm looking at 3 damage on a dice, and that's the most damage I'll be able to stop probably, because Jin Urso only surges for +1 damage, so I'll never be stopping 3 damage on a green dice with Jin Urso. So my thought there is, you know, I'm gonna get attacked by, if I'm gonna get attacked by both, let's stop the one that's doing the most damage. Let's use Tough Luck to stop as much damage as possible here. Oh, he did also want to play Heart of Freedom here, which I was fine with. It's technically a missed opportunity for a league game, but it doesn't. He was going to play it no matter what he rolled. It's not like his dice roll impacted whether he was going to play it or not, so I was fine letting that go. So heals 2 damage off of K2SO. So I go ahead and pull the trigger out here, which is going to allow me to, I'm trying to get Doubt back up. There we go. I can force him to reroll his die. I have him reroll his red die. He gets the 3 damage again. And I cancel it down with the Tough Luck. So I'm going to take 4 damage instead of 7. And then as luck would have it, strength in numbers, because K2SO and Jin Urso exactly add up to 12. So Jin Urso activates, heals K2 with Trust Goes Both Ways, and gives him a Surge token. Also should have given him a damage token, but I think we said this. I think this was going to be the last round here, so I guess it didn't really matter. Oh no, there he did. He gave it to him. He remembered. And then now using Tonfa Strike to move past Davith. By the way, I don't think I've dodged yet this whole game, so boom, we get the dodge right when we needed it. Stopped 5 damage from coming in. And then the second attack, I'm going to do 4 damage, but keeps him alive with 2 health left. I think technically he would have still survived if I had saved Doubt Tough Luck for that last attack, but I don't think my body could handle the clenching, so I'm glad I did it earlier and just knew I was going to survive after that dodge. So activated Jin. Now obviously I have to activate Davith here because he's down to 2 health, and Collin still has Gideon that he could attack with to take off the last 2 health off of Davith. No reason to strat shift here. I actually have a play where I can escape. Okay, so I do attack 3PO here, but there's a reason. The reason being that I need to fell swoop. I need to trigger fell swoop, and if I attack Jin, who is a white dice defender, who will then be getting +1 evade, there is a pretty good chance I don't fell swoop on that attack, and then I can only get to here. Which is really bad. I need to get all the way over to here. So this is why I'm doing this. Hopefully I get the kill on 3PO. If I don't, as long as I get fell swoop, I can trigger it to go through Jin Urso and then get to here. And then I can move 5 spaces to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to here, where both very much harder to see me as Gideon, much harder to get range to me, and then if he does attack me, I get Yoda's deflection. So that's why I'm going for 3PO here after all the stuff I said about wanting to focus on getting his attackers cleared out. Max roll like a boss. Get to keep my Surge, which is great. Kills 3PO. I use Fell Swoop and I cut and run to deal 1 extra damage to Jin Urso. And then we go for the second attack, which just barely gives me the surges I need to stay hidden. But I am able to do that, so I'm able to surge for +2 damage and hide. So I do 3 more damage to Jin there. And then able to move down next to Yoda, behind Aphra. And I still have a spy, so it's not like I can't strat shift. Yeah, and I think this was a mistake. I think Collin forgot, or just forgot that Saska was a spy again. And he draws up with R2-D2. And so I go ahead and activate Saska and force him to shuffle second strat shift, and he goes from 5 cards down to 2, which is pretty good for me. I remember that was one of the big ones when we were designing Aphra. Is like, is this broken with strat shift? And we're like, well, it would never matter. The second strat shift shouldn't really matter, but it ended up mattering here. Also moves down to give a device token to Gideon, as we are now preparing for Gideon to join the fight. Bodhi moves up to attack. He's got green-yellow with a surge for +1 damage. He does make accuracy, so he's going to do 2 damage to Aphra there. Let's see, I think that's his last real attack. I decided to just go ahead and do the 2 damage back with Yoda, bringing Bodhi down to 1 health so that he becomes an easy kill with cut and run if we do have more time for one more round and I'm able to move Davith back into the fight. Which I think we actually do. So now I activate Yoda. I move him up 1 space to completely conceal Davith and then refocus him. I think we are going into 1 more round here. Gideon's going to activate for Collin, but he doesn't do much. I'm surprised he didn't attack there. Like, why didn't he attack Aphra? I actually don't. Oh, he refocused Jin Erso. That's why. Because yeah, I think we definitely knew we were going into one final round here. We were playing pretty quick. So R2 moves up and opens my door now for me, back on the terminal. And now I can take a shot with Gideon with the device token, which I have not used yet this round, because I'm pretty good at keeping track of my device token usage. So that would have been 1 damage. Oh no, did I use it? I must have used it, huh? Oh, I used it. No, why didn't I use it here? Oh, I'm saving it for Aphra. That's what it is. And then re-roll the red into a red for +2 damage. Pretty good. 7 damage with that device token. Does use parry. He finally drew it off the strat shift. So he takes 6 damage on Jin Erso. Okay, and then we're going into the final round. So he actually would have lived there, though he didn't need to parry. I'm not sure why he parried, but he would have lived with 1 health because of Jin Erso now being 13 health. So there you go. It actually did make a difference. Or it would have made a difference if he didn't have parry. I don't know. It's hard to quantify those things. So now going into round 2. The last card in my hand is Negation. Collin has not played Take Initiative this whole game. Because I strat shifted him twice, I guess. So Collin now does have full control over his 2 databanks. But I have my databank, which is flipped. So I'm going to get 5 more points. Collin goes to 30 points, so it's now 30 to 37 because of the 3PO kill I got. And now initiative's going to be mine. And so now I have a funny choice I have to make. I could activate Davith, move him up, and attack Jin Erso. The problem there is if I miss, and he kills Davith, and he goes to 36, and he's got like Celebration or something. Well, I guess I have Negation in my hand, but if he goes to 36 and then he can kill, like if he gets a surprise kill on Aphra or something, you know, and wins the game off of that, that would suck. So instead I decide to hedge. I go with Gideon, because if I go with Gideon and she dodges and I lose Gideon, I don't lose outright, and I still have Davith. So hedging a little bit here, Gideon pops out, makes his attack with his device token. Oh, I think I also elemented, I excavated Element of Surprise. Collin plays Negation here to stop it. but he blanks out, and Gideon Argus dies, and I go to 44 points. So that was the game. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Probably another long one because I get a little bit too deep in talking about stuff. But yeah, that's the melee list I've been working on to play on this map, and it's been really working really well. And I think that this is how you're going to play melee going forward. Is you're going to just have these, like, you're going to be using these figures that can do a ton of movement, whereas in the past we've had these figures and it's been like, why the heck do I need to move 12 points in one activation? Or why do I need to move 12 spaces in one activation? That's so overkill. And I think now it's not. And now any figure that can do that, that can move 8, 10, 12 spaces and still attack as a melee figure, has a lot more value now. So Ahsoka is going to be really good. Vanish is going to be super powerful. I think Davith's really good on this map. And yeah, I think this is... I've seen other lists that are doing similar things now with melee. I know Destruct had a Second Sister list he was working on that uses similar concepts, where Second Sister has Force Leap and can then do Saber Orbit stuff end of round, and you can use stuff like To the Limit off of Force Leap to be like move, Force Leap, attack, second round, clear the stun, attack again with Saber Orbit. It looked really good, and I think stuff like that is... There's room to adapt within melee figures to adapt to this map. You just have to look at what's available, find the cards that are going to work for you and work for the map, and it'll be fine. And then in 4 months we'll be on to a new map rotation. Waska's going to be rotating out. We're going to be rotating in something fun for closer range, and you guys will be happy. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay, and we'll see you for the next one.